All right, well, welcome to another episode of LorcanaChats. I'm Chris, a.k.a. Questing for Lore, and with me today I have Bryan, another judge that was at the Atlanta event and is going to be in Chicago, also judging. So, Bryan, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, sure. My name is Bryan. Um, I am married, been married for 13 years, and we have a daughter whose name is Kyla. She is 11. I talk about her a lot on Twitter. Um, she's been with me since the beginning when we started playing. So,
Nice. And so you guys play a lot together?
yes, yeah, we go to league weekly. We play in
Oh,
between.
cool.
We played like 5 or 6 games today. So she's playing in Chicago, so she's trying to get ready.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. That's great. That's so cool. Do y'all have a decent number of other kids at your league?
There are now three. So we started playing at the start. Um, I found out
Like first
about,
chapter or
yeah, I found out about
okay.
Lorcana when they announced it at D23,
Mhm.
because I was looking for Marvel movies because I'm a big nerd and found out they were doing Lorcana, and we had tossed around. Um, she she collected Pokemon. When I was a kid, I collected Pokemon, and we tried to get into Yu-Gi-Oh, but it was just it's too complicated. With you basically have to read a book every time you play a card. So we were trying
Right.
to find something that was similar to that because we both kind of like that. So when I found out about Lorcana, we were like, let's just dive in. So we've been playing since day one, um, and yeah. So
Nice.
first chapter. Started out at the beginning. When we started at our league, there was only 6 people, the two of us and 4 others. Uh, we now average about 20 people with
Oh, wow.
her and 2 other kids. One's like 13, the other one's 10, I think, and she's 11. So
Nice. Nice. It's good that they're kind of around her age too, you know.
mhm.
So it's not like, a 8-year-old just kind of out there playing, I'm having fun, you know.
Right.
I'm sure they actually get into some pretty serious games too. So that's cool. Have y'all gotten a chance to play the Ursula's Return, the Illumineers quest?
Yeah, we did. So we got a copy and played it right away. Um, We played it with my wife, who doesn't actually play Lorcana.
Yeah.
She's played a couple times, but it's not really her jam. So we
Okay.
did play the quest with her though, because it's more cooperative, obviously. So um,
Right.
a little bit easier to help her along with playing. So we had a blast with it. It was great.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was gonna ask if it was kind of, if she was kind of the casual kind of player or anything like that, but sounds like, the co-op stuff was more her speed. And so,
Yeah, I mean, we're a big board game family. We probably own like
mhm.
50 or 60 board games. So uh, the card game thing where you're challenging each other, that's just not really what she enjoys doing. So um,
Right.
the cooperative was a lot more her speed, so that was great.
Nice. Nice. Well, and I really appreciate Ravensburger and Disney and everybody for putting out something that, as far as I've seen, it's a little distinct. Like I'm sure it happens in other TCGs where they have stuff like this, where it's a co-op kind of thing against fighting against a common enemy. But to have it so early on in the production of the game to really think, okay, we're trying to appeal to as many kind of players as we possibly can. We've got kind of the casual 1v1, we've got multiplayer, we've got co-op. Who knows what the future is going to hold, but um it's really cool that they thought about that, I'm sure from the very beginning, honestly, because production times and everything, it takes a while to get all this stuff out. So
Right. Yeah, they probably had that in the cooker before the first
yep.
chapter came out, because I think they said they were printing chapter 3 when they were releasing chapter 1, so they would have already had to design and plan everything out for chapter 4 by that point. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's great. It catches a wider audience, which is just one of my favorite parts of this game. Is it's for so many different types of people.
Hmm. And it seems like it's really nice that there, because there's so many different kinds of players in the community, right? not just the full-time, like the larger name kind of content creator folks, but you also have, people that just go to league and they just want to have fun, and then you have set championships for somebody who's a little bit more, more into it. And then you have DLCs where, that's like, the competitive place right now. So I appreciate, I think I already said this, but I appreciate the variety that there is already. I think that's something that really helps draw people to the game too. It's not like you were saying with with Yu-Gi-Oh, where you have to like sit down and you have to like read a whole bunch of stuff. And like having not played Magic for oh God, probably 8 or 9 years at least, maybe closer to 10. When I came back to it before I really dove into Lorcana, it was the same way, right? I mean, every card has this huge block of text on it. It's so complicated. And, Lorcana just seems so nice and lightweight.
Right.
Um, and we have so many great people in the community that are, trying to make sure that it reaches everybody, as many kinds of people as possible. We have the ladies over on the Live Laugh Lorcana site that are really focused on diversity and inclusion. We've got a lot of a whole lot of people that really focus down on the technical aspects of the game. Which is cool to have a wide range of stuff like that. Um, what's your favorite kind of content for the community?
Um, I mean, I like a lot of the casual stuff. Um, I listen to every episode of Live Laugh Lorcana.
Yep.
They're just fantastic. I love their message, and um, I follow so many different people on on Twitter, and there's so many different podcasts. It's hard to keep up, but um,
Yeah.
I really like the casual stuff. Googly Glimmers is one of the first ones that I started following, though. So uh, I've been interested in the rules and all of that since the very beginning. I'm a big helper. I like to help people, um, and so that's kind of where my interest in judging came. It's like I
Mhm.
started helping other people at our LGS understand some of the cards and what they did, and then that kind of rolled into when there was a dispute on what was going on, they would call me over to help, and so
Nice.
that's where that interest kind of stemmed from.
Okay. And had you done judging or anything before at any other card game?
No, so I think I mentioned I collected Pokemon when I was a kid, but never
Mhm.
really got into playing. And I tried to learn Magic a couple different times, but it just the people that I went to learn how to play weren't great at teaching. They were good at playing,
Yeah.
and so uh, I didn't have great experiences with that. And so I never really dove into any TCG like I have Lorcana.
Okay. Cool. So, as a judge, obviously you did Atlanta. I'll be interested to talk to you after Chicago and see
Yeah.
kind of what the differences are between them. Um, what kind of stuff did you do to prepare for the event? Was it just studying rules or, or anything else?
I mean, a lot of it was just reading over the rules again. Obviously, they released the update like 3 days before,
Yeah.
so that was interesting having to go through all that. But yeah, just basically at that point, I had already read through them because I was interested and was doing some judging for my local league at that point.
Mhm.
Um, so just rereading the rules, the correction guidelines, tournament rules, trying to digest as much of that as possible. Um, I'm also in a lot of the discords that talk about the rules, and
Right.
so I'm in the main discord. I'm not in there as much as some of the other folks are, but I pop in there just to see what the latest chatter is, and if I have some time to answer questions, I can answer those. So I do like to go back through and read what people are talking about and see what Joe and Kyle have come up
Mhm.
with for the answers. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I lurk in those same channels, and it's interesting to see some of the like the more controversial conversations that come up too. It usually revolves around like that there's not a hard and fast kind of rule, that it's more of like a subjective, okay, this is what one person thinks, and then it basically they're like, "Hey, Kyle, come on." You
Yeah.
know, come down on this, please. But yeah, I mean, the stuff that you guys have to think through on some of this, I mean, you know, as a player, you get used to kind of the normal rules, the normal flow of stuff. But you know, even in Atlanta, I mean, I don't think there was a round that went by when I was playing that I didn't hear, you know, at least like 20 people call judges. I mean,
Mhm.
it was pretty, you guys were pretty active.
Yeah, I did like 100,000 steps over the course of the 4 days or 3 days that I was there. So yeah, definitely on my feet moving. But the calls, honestly, I was expecting things that were gonna make me think really hard. And a lot of it
Mhm.
was more of like, hey, if I play Let the Storm Rage On and they don't have characters on the board, do I have to choose my own character? It's like, well, yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of those questions where it was like, if I do this, am I gonna have this happen? More than, hey, they messed up and we need to fix it. So
right. Did you have any instances where people like asked you to step aside and ask a question? Oh, okay.
yeah, I did have one. It actually, I think it was a side event because it was a chapter 4 card,
Mhm.
and it it 90% I think it was Tuk Tuk. They're like, I don't have a
Yeah,
location, but if I play
yeah.
him, can I give a character +2? It's like, no, because
No,
there's no movement, so you can't choose the character that moved. So
right. Gotta qualify that or reach that first qualification. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how much of it is like literally, you know, I know you guys all joke about it, but it's like if somebody has a question, you just, you know, oh, read the card. You know,
mhm,
literally read the card. You know, because a lot of times that answers the question. It's just, you know, there's a lot of nuance in how to read the cards. You know,
mhm,
like sometimes is it a comma? Is it you know, an and or an or may or, you know, that kind of stuff.
right.
So so what do you think was it doesn't have to be necessarily at the event, the Atlanta
Mhm.
DLC. You know, because I don't know how much you can talk about specific rulings for that stuff.
I
Um,
wasn't in on anything crazy, so
oh, okay, okay. You know, I know I talked to Joe before and I was like, I asked that question. He's like, can't really talk about some of that. I was like, okay,
yeah.
no problem. But you know, either that or at your local game store, what's kind of been the trickiest one that you've had to deal with?
Um, so this one happened at my local game store. Uh, One player had Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood on the
Mhm.
board. Um, Her opponent had an exerted card, and I don't remember which one it was, but he also had Beast Selfless Protector on the board.
Okay.
And Beast Selfless Protector had 6 damage on him. And so she challenged the exerted character. The damaged moved to Beast Selfless Protector, and he
Hmm.
got banished. And she was saying she should still receive the 2 lore for that because a character was banished. And they called me over, and yep, that's the tricky part.
Yeah, I'm trying to
But
think through that. Okay, keep
his
going.
his text says, um, if you banish a character in a challenge, and so the only 2 characters in the challenge are Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood, and the character being challenged.
Mhm.
Beast Selfless Protector is not part of that. So he's not in the challenge. He wasn't banished in a challenge, so the 2 lore
Yeah.
gain doesn't happen.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yep, that's exactly the kind of stuff I'm talking about.
Yeah. Beast Selfless Protector needs like a whole book on what he does and doesn't do because there's lots of
Yeah.
characters that when he receives the damage from them, it messes up their abilities. So, because
Mhm.
Scar Vicious Cheater's the same way. If Scar hits somebody and Beast Selfless Protector is banished, he doesn't ready because Scar didn't banish a character in a challenge if
Right,
Beast
right.
wasn't the one being challenged. So,
Yeah, that's like I said, I don't envy you guys. You know, I thought about doing it. I submitted for the Atlanta one and started off, but then I got a ticket. I was like, I think I'm gonna play. So
yeah.
might end up doing it later on, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot. Did you keep like a copy of the rules with you or anything, or you just
I,
do it from
I had
memory?
him on my phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. I mean, it's most people want a correct answer, not always a
Yeah.
fast answer. And so anytime I had to reference my phone, I just said, hey, I need to verify something real quick in the rules. And everybody was cool with it because they wanted the right solution, not a fast one.
Right. Yeah. Especially at that kind of event, I'm sure.
Right.
It's pretty high stakes there.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some of the asking prices for some of those cards. So yeah,
Oh my goodness.
definitely high stakes. So
Yeah. Yep. Especially those Mickeys, man. Whew.
no, just crazy, but awesome. I mean, that's amazing for the people who won them. So
Oh yeah. Well, and to see a game so young to have such a response, I mean, there was, what was it, almost 2,000 people at Atlanta, something like
yeah,
that.
a little bit short of 2000. I think it was like
Yeah.
1977. Over 2000 at the one in Lyle. So
Hmm.
in France, yeah, so crazy. And this one I think is at 1024. I think it capped
Okay.
there. I don't know how many people will show up. Obviously, there'll probably be some people who don't show, but
Right. Yeah.
still
I mean,
another over
that always
1,000.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first day at the Atlanta one was insane. And I think part of that also was the other conference, the MomoCon that was going on
Yeah.
that had like 10,000 people or something. It seemed like there were so many.
Well, and there was a soccer game at the stadium across the way, so there were like
Yeah.
30,000 people in that small few blocks. It was crazy.
And it was kind of nice that they had the stuff for us down in like I know it was like in a sub basement, down there, but it was nice to be kind of out of the fray, so that we're not like walking out immediately into, 10,000 people. But um and I thought they did a really good job with the event, Uh it wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't too crowded. The space felt like it was good enough for the number of people once everybody sat down. Trying to funnel everybody through through the little things there was not great, but
Yeah. I mean, we learned a lot even throughout the event, and one of the things that we had adapted in the middle was allowing competitors to just hang out in the competitor area instead of having everybody leave and then come back in because you're right, the
yep.
funneling was super hard. It took longer for people to sit down, and uh, PPG has been great about learning and adapting, and so that's not going to be a problem in Chicago. The way that they have that event set up, it's in two separate rooms. There's the competitive event room,
Oh.
and then there's um, the side event area that's
Mhm.
going to have the people. So it'll be a lot easier because we won't have to have people leave and come back in. So
Right. Nice. Yeah, I think that'll help a ton. Just because of, the experience in Atlanta. Not that it was bad. I mean, it was nice that they kind of had the side events off on, one side, and then the competitive area was just the whole back of the room back there, which is good. But yeah, I could see how splitting it up would help. And then of course, as everybody cringes at Melee having problems, I'm sure that was a huge headache for you guys.
yeah, the melee team though, the how quickly they responded to it was great because we had melee team on site, so they were there dealing with
Oh,
it with us and were able to provide some quick solutions to get it back up. I mean, it did go up and down a couple times, but
right.
they also learned a lot. I think that this is personal speculation, but I think the amount of people who were checking what was happening in Atlanta may have surprised them because there were the 2,000 of us plus staff there who needed it for that. But then a lot of people were just looking to see how their players were doing. Um,
Hmm.
so, and then also the tournament in Lisle was happening at the same time. So there was another
Right.
2,000 person tournament going on. So, yeah, just a lot of factors. And again, I think we learned a lot and they learned a lot. So,
Well, that's good. Onward and upward, right?
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So if somebody wants to be a judge at a future event, what kind of recommendations do you have for them?
Um, Obviously, read the rules. Judging at a local level helps a lot for me because, like I said, I got some of that smaller experience that I was able to utilize when I moved up. Get in the discords. Uh,
Mhm.
even if you answer a couple wrong, you're learning, um, interacting, seeing how other judges look at it, um, and then apply. I mean, if you want to be a judge, apply. The worst thing they're going to say is no. So
Yep. 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 Very true. I'm sure they had a ton of people for the Atlanta one, especially it being the first one.
yeah, honestly, I don't know exactly how many judges we had, uh, but I know that we had at least 100 people in the Discord that was for the event staff. So there was
Okay.
a lot of us there.
Yeah. Yeah. That was it was good that there was a lot of you there.
Mhm.
We definitely got the use out of the judging group. Did you do any of the stream judging, or were you just out on the floor?
I So I got behind the curtain on the top 32 match, but I wasn't one of the live stream games. So
Okay.
four there were four matches that happened behind the curtain. Two of them were on stream, two of them were off stream, and I was at one of the ones that was off stream.
Okay. All right. Well, cool. That's still pretty cool though, to be in
Yeah,
kind of that upper level. That's
yeah,
fun.
it was really exciting to get pulled back there and um, just to see what was going on because I didn't go back there beforehand. I was too busy to see what it even looked like. So um, when they asked me to go back there, I was like, of course, like that's awesome. I wanted to go see what's going on back there.
And that was like if you were looking at the competitor area, that was that little kind of section off on the side,
hmm
right?
Yeah, it
Okay.
was like roped off with the blue curtains and
Right, right.
yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, that's what I figured. I was like, are they in another room? But then I was watching some of the video and you could hear the overhead announcements when they were doing the commentation.
Right. And I
So,
think for Chicago, they are going to have them in a completely separate room. So they shouldn't have some of
okay.
that bleed in from other things happening.
Yeah. It really wasn't that bad, honestly. It kind of added a little extra level of, like being there kind of
Mhm.
feeling. But yeah, it was with all the crowd and with the overhead announcements and all that. It was a lot going on.
Mhm.
But all right, so what kind of improvements do you think can be made to either the overall judging experience or the future of it, either with Ravensburger or
Mhm.
PPG, any kind of
Yeah.
recommendations?
I'm probably going to sound like a broken record here, but I'd love an official judges program.
Yep.
I think all of us involved want something like that, and it's great the way that they've handled the judges program so far. A judges program, that's
Right.
us. So,
Yep.
uh, but it's something a little more formal would be nice. Something that I can carry with me. Uh, Outside of the big events. So, uh, I mean, I can go to any of the LGSs around here and be like, "Hey, I judged in Atlanta and Chicago. Can I judge for you?" But if I am like, "Hey, I'm an official Lorcana judge," that sounds a
Right.
little bit. Uh, I mean, it's more official, so it sounds a
Yeah.
little bit better.
Yeah. And I think, we were talking about Live Laugh Orcana before. I think their latest episode with Ms. Memento. Have you listened to that one yet?
I did.
Okay. All right.
I
Cool. I
have.
figured, it's been out for a little bit too, but I just finished it yesterday and it was really interesting hearing her experiences being a judge in a different program. I think it was the Pokemon judge program. And it's stuff like as a casual player, I never would have thought about having like a whole separate kind of environment just for judges, like earning points for going and judging certain events, and then you can redeem those points for things. And I was like, that's really cool, That's the kind of
Yeah.
thing that like helps incentivize it too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I got compensated for my time, uh,
Right.
which is great. And but having a formalized program where, I mean, that just it makes it uh, like it feels like an achievement. I don't know if
Yeah.
that sounds right, but like being able to level up from a level one judge to a level two judge is like, I mean, it'd be super exciting. So like having those tiers of programs too, because uh, I mean, as we get into the higher level events, the Continentals, the Worlds, they're going to want judges who have some tenure, and I think that's a
Hmm.
great way to show that the judges they've picked have that experience.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. little more officially tracked kind of thing too. Yeah,
Right.
very cool. Yeah. Any other recommendations, improvements in the meantime until an official judging kind of program comes around?
I mean, I've been saying since they announced the DLC that I want a juniors program. Uh, my daughter, she does great at local league. I mean, she's placed in the top three throughout the months, um,
Nice.
a few different times. So she can play against adults. I'm not worried about that. But I think her experience will be a lot better if she could play against kids. Um, it's sometimes in the beginning it was hard for her, going into league week in and week out and putting so much time and effort into it and not seeing other kids around. So it's great that we've had some join, but I think them focusing on that and adding that in to the bigger challenges is gonna just broaden that base of kids who want to play.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be super cool to see, to have a separate kind of little other ranking kind of thing going on at the same time. Yeah. And I think it also helps with really promoting another kind of aspect of the game, like, right? Excuse me. Sorry. Um, we have the whole kids coming in. That's a whole different group that would potentially be coming into playing the game. And then, they're already like pros when it comes time to to move up into the regular matches.
Right.
So
Yeah, I mean, I just the difference in play that Kyla has had from chapter one through now, watching her, she builds her own decks, and
wow.
sometimes we'll get inspiration from other people, but usually when a new chapter hits, she's like, I want to play this color, and this is what I want to do with it. So let's build around that, and she'll build her deck, we'll play it, she'll make adjustments. She made a couple adjustments today because I made some adjustments to my deck, and it did better against the way that she had. So she adjusted her deck a little bit. So,
All
uh,
right.
yeah. So just seeing her be able to grow through a juniors league or whatever they want to call it, the Mickey Mouse Club League, um,
There you
and
go.
and then it just to like see her grow and move into the the competitive side, and it's just going to be great if she can have that base
Yep. Yep, definitely. So the real question, how often does she beat you?
all the time. Yeah. Yep, she beats me all the time. So yeah, there's we actually I when we first started, I sat her down and I was like, when we play each other, I don't care what the stakes are, you play to beat me. And
Mhm.
I want her to have that mentality of I don't want to game the game. I want to play the game. And
Right.
it was like, I don't care what prizes we win, what prizes we don't win. And there was one instance, I think it was in chapter two, right towards the end. And I was playing her in round three of our league. They only do 3 rounds.
Okay.
And I was in the, like, I was almost to the point where I could place in the top three, but I needed to win. And we started playing, and she beat me in round one. And she looked over at me, and I could see her wheels like turning in her brain. And I was like, "Don't do that." I was like, "If we're gonna play, and if you're gonna keep playing, you play to win. I don't want
Yep.
you to go easy on me because you want us to get a certain prize." And she was like, "Okay." And she beat me in game two. I still ended up getting into the top three, and actually I didn't make first for that day, and so I bought an extra pack just to show like, hey, we didn't lose out on anything, and we pulled our first enchanted card out of that pack. And it was just like
That's awesome.
extra cherry on top, showing like you just need to
Nice.
play. Um, and so yeah, we had that conversation, and she it's funny. We get new adults in all the time, and they'll play
Mhm.
her, and she whoops them. And I'm like, don't worry, she whoops everybody. So
Yeah, yeah. We've got a couple like that at ours. Yeah. I think one of the first times I went, I actually just got completely annihilated by I think she's probably 12 or 13. But yeah, it was just I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm ever going to be good enough at this game to
yeah.
to survive this. So
Yeah, and I like to tell people when they come in, anybody can win a game of Lorcana at any point.
mhm.
And when people are feeling a little down, it's like you could play your hardest and lose, and you just sometimes it's luck. But with Kyla, I'm like, she's gonna beat you if she can. So watch out for her.
Like just
So
FYI. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, besides the people who got cards at Gen Con, she's
Mhm.
been playing as long as anybody else has been playing Lorcana. So people underestimate her because she's 11 or she's a girl maybe, but like
Mhm.
she's gonna whoop you if you give her an opportunity. So
Nice. All right. So thinking about the game itself, and really the community too, because I know you're out there, you're on Twitter, you're talking with everybody, you're part of the community as well. Um, so is there anything that you think you would like to see in the future of the game or in the community as a whole? I know you said, the judge program, the junior leagues. Is there kind of
yeah,
anything else you'd like to see, in the future, basically?
I mean, I the community's so welcoming and open to new ideas. It's just I I've never been interested in being like a content creator or being huge on Twitter, but then Lorcana, I was like, I kind of want to be involved in this and talk to people online and try to be a welcoming space. And I got in there and I'm like, oh, it's already a welcoming space. I'll just add to the positivity.
There you go.
So, uh, I think that there's a few content creators who are doing um, some content that's for kids or is appropriate for kids, but I
Mhm.
think that kind of bringing more of that in would be great. I know Liam at the Illumineers did the kid reveal, which Kyla was interviewed for that, which was great. And um,
Nice.
so we're talking about some things that we could do to kind of highlight the kids a little bit more. So hopefully we can get some more of that going.
Well, and do you think that if, the junior program ever gets started, that kind of content will just naturally come from it?
Oh yeah, I think it will definitely blossom, especially with, I mean, the kids who win are going to be instant mini stars, and they're
Yeah.
going to be they're going to be out there. So um, I think that could only help.
Nice. Nice. Any other ideas for the future? Like even like any technical stuff, any mechanics in the game that you think would be cool to have or
um, we talk about this a lot, Kyla and I, and um, one of the things that we're talking about recently that would be interesting to see is an ability that takes away from your singing ability. So
okay.
like a character, and I think that Ursula's necklace would have been the perfect opportunity to have an item that did
Yes.
that. But like you play this character and uh, chosen character is considered negative to cost when singing songs or something. So I think
Mhm.
that would be an interesting ability. Although Steel Song has taken a hit this chapter, so maybe we don't need anything that's going to
Yeah.
hurt the singers just yet. So.
Yeah. Yeah. As a steel song player, it has not been as fun. That's actually what I played in Atlanta and did not do very well. So, yeah.
Well, the top 32 match I judged had a Seal Song.
Oh, did
Uh,
it? Okay.
it he did lose, but at least I mean, and Seal Song won Lyle, right? So
Oh, yeah, it did, didn't it? Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
so
right.
I think it just the straight up Seal Song isn't doing it. So you have to
Yeah.
adapt a little bit. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen a couple of decks that they took like the set three steel song, standard kind of stuff and updated it with a couple of set four cards. And that seems interesting.
Mhm.
There's some fun additions there. It's not too different, but it's fun to see the slight differences. And as somebody who's played it for a while, you could see like, oh, okay, I see how that could be helpful.
Mhm. Right.
So, very cool. Um, well, I'm trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to cover. I think honestly that gets most of it. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and finish up with the same three questions I'm asking everybody.
Mhm.
So what is your favorite ink and card right now?
Um, so I've been a Ruby player since chapter one. So
Hmm.
I would say Ruby is probably my favorite. I played Ruby Steel and Ruby Sapphire in chapter one, and then played Ruby Emerald in chapter two, and
Okay.
Ruby Sapphire in chapter three. So Ruby's definitely my go-to color if I can make it work. So
Yeah.
um, as far as my favorite card, that's pretty hard. The new cards I haven't gotten a lot of hands on because I was prepping for Atlanta, and
Hmm.
um, we were building Kyla's deck for Chicago, so I didn't get a lot of experience with the chapter four cards. But I I know everybody's hating on Bucky right now, but Bucky was my go-to card in chapter two.
Yep.
I
It's pretty
ran
vicious.
three different discard variations in chapter two. I did a um, Ruby Emerald, I did an Amber Emerald, and I did a Steel Emerald,
Okay.
various discards through the league. So I I was on Bucky way before everybody else is. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll say he's my favorite, but I'm going to get a lot of ats for that probably.
No, I think there's a lot of people that agree with you. It's another one of those cards that it's really terrible to have played against you, but if you're playing it, it's great.
Yeah.
There's so many like that too. But then that's how you have to shift your strategy and try to figure out, how you can work around it. And, especially if you've already played the first round and then you're in the second, you're like, all right, I know it's coming. I gotta be
Right.
ready for them. So
Yeah. I mean, there is a
I
lot of stuff to get around him, so you just have
oh
to
yeah,
you have to prep for it. It's one of those things where, I mean, in chapter one, you had to plan for Ruby Amethyst. So,
right. Yep.
and
And
now
that was
now at this
brutal.
point, you have to plan for Bucky. So,
Yep. Yeah, I played a match on the Real Play Network last night, and got double buckied. And so yeah, I couldn't keep anything in my hand at all. It was so painful. But yeah, needless to say, lost. But
yeah.
that was pretty bad. But yeah, it seems like every set we have some card that comes up, and it's usually over the life of the set, it changes, right? We'll
Mhm.
have, one or two cards that everybody at the beginning is like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. We have to ban it and be prepared. Um, and then later on in the set, somebody comes up with a whole new thing, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this card. We should ban it. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you just have to learn and adapt, right?
And then somebody comes into Atlanta and wins with a deck that nobody had on their radar at all. So,
Oh my gosh, that deck that Joshua, right?
yeah.
That was his name. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
That deck that he
Yeah.
played. I looked at it whenever they posted it. I was like, "What?
Mhm.
Like, what is this? This is
Yeah.
crazy."
It just goes to show that, yeah, any deck can win at any point. You just have to have the skill, confidence, and luck
Oh
to get
yeah.
there.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting to see how much luck really does play into it, because I've seen, streams of some of the best players out there and they get, five, six bad draws in a row, and that's it.
Right.
They're done. So,
Yeah. Luck definitely plays into it. I got third place in the set championship because in the top eight match, I top decked Be Prepared that I needed to wipe the board and get a Tamatoa
nice.
down. Yeah, it was, I mean, so luck has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's fun because it adds a little, extra element to the game. It's not like you're just like, okay, I know how to do this, and here's, the exact same play for every single game. It's keeps the challenge alive, really.
Right.
And not just because you're playing against somebody, it's also challenging yourself to really think through your cards, what you have in your
Mhm.
deck, what's left, and, really compensate for what you need to. So, well, cool. All right, so what's your favorite Disney movie?
Um, okay, I have two because my favorite Disney
Okay.
movie as a kid was The Lion King. I love The Lion King. I mean,
Yep.
I would watch it going to sleep at night. Like I have 90% of it memorized, probably still. Um, but I mean, as I got older, I like Wreck-It Ralph is one of my favorite
Nice.
movies now. Definitely need Wreck-It Ralph in Lorcana besides Pick a Fight. We need a good card. Like
Yeah, I was
I would
gonna
love
say.
Vanellope. I would love Ralph. Fix It Felix would be awesome. So
Yep.
uh,
It'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see what their abilities would translate to. You think? I think I don't know. I mean, Fix It Felix would be a good one for Amber, I would think.
Hmm.
I mean, it kind of
Yeah.
lends itself naturally to healing and, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But
Yeah. Heal damage or bring an item back from the discard, and
yeah,
Ralph could destroy a location or an item, and
yes.
Penelope could
Nice
move
steel
between
song. Yeah.
locations. Yeah. 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 So there's
Yeah.
lots of possibilities out there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I really look forward to, there's just so much Disney IP out there. Seeing and I think we've even got some of the hints potentially, that nothing confirmed. We'll see when the Lorecast happens next week if anything comes out about it. But about potentially having Hades as the main villain for the next set, or the next couple of sets, I guess, because
Mhm.
Ursula's really been, I mean, even since the first chapter, there were
Mhm.
still like cards like the Detective Mickey, that had the little strands coming up. People were like,
Mhm.
ah, ha, ha, now I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, cool. Well, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me. Really enjoy it. Go ahead and tell people where they can find you.
Yeah. So I'm mainly on Twitter. I'm Enchanted Hunter, and the E in Enchanted is a three at the end. So
Nice.
that's how you find me.
Awesome.
And in the
Awesome.
Discords. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the main Disney or the main Lorcana one, what other
Hmm.
ones are out there just for
Um,
people looking to
I'm
find them?
I'm in Lorcana HQ, the main Disney, the official one. Um, I'm very, very passive in Live Laugh Lorcana and Citizens of Lorcana. I'm in those Discords as well. Uh,
Okay.
I'm in the Melee Discord. Like that's how much of a nerd I am. Yeah, Melee has a Discord, so
All right, cool. All right. Well, I guess everybody can look forward to seeing you roaming around in
mhm.
Chicago. But yeah, I hope everything goes well. I'm sure, having one event under your belt, everything will be, even a little bit easier this time, hopefully. But yeah, good luck. And thanks again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us on today's episode. If you liked what you heard, make sure to subscribe and rate or like us on your platform of choice. If you'd like to reach out to the show, you can email us at lorcanachats@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter or X at LorcanaChats, the podcast at podcast.lorcanachats.com, or just lorcanachats.com. We love feedback on the show, and let us know if there's anyone you'd like to hear from in the Lorcana community. See you next time.